Let's compare a Hasbro value range Stormtrooper next to a Black Series figure.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there. So today I've got a little bit of an interesting one to check out today in an unboxing. This is a new Hasbro sort of value range action figure. It feels like it's going to be around a 6-inch sort of like the Black Series scale, but of course there's no window, we can't see the figure, and they don't really describe it as being part of either the 4-inch or the 6-inch figure line. So this one was only New Zealand $10. So for comparison, a vintage collection carded figure retails here for about 30 New Zealand dollars, and a Black Series 6-inch figure is generally around 40 to 45. So if there was ever a figure that fans want to army build, it's going to be a classic original trilogy Stormtrooper, because there's so many scenes that they feature in large numbers, especially if you counter in the fact that we see them in Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Mandalorian. You know, we've even got the new series including these classic iconic characters. So as a collector, you want a lot of them on your shelf so you can flesh out your scenes, but that comes at a high price point. So at $10, I'm really hoping this might be a contender. Who knows? It might be just a very simple kid's toy. So I've got a classic Stormtrooper Black Series figure from The Mandalorian to compare it to, but first let's take a look at what's inside this box. So as you can see, it just says Hasbro Star Wars Stormtrooper with a picture on the inside. This is part of their new sort of plastic-free packaging line. As you can see there, it notes, except for the tape and glue, these used to have windows, as we have seen in some of the overseas versions, but these, when they hit stores in New Zealand, there's no plastic window, so I can't see what the figure is inside. So definitely keen to check it out. The back just has a lot of text, and we've got a small little picture there on the side with Disney and the same plastic-free packaging notes there. So moment of truth, let's open it up and check it out. So I haven't seen this figure in person, so I'm very, very keen to see what it's like. So okay, we have paper wrapped around the figure. I'll just put the box down there. So it's kind of like a wax paper. It's kind of interesting. Sorry, rustling here. Let's have a look-see. Okie dokie. We have classic Stormtrooper. So this is kind of fun. He's got, his helmet is either really stiff or not. Yep, really stiff. Okay, so we can move him. He's got a certain level of articulation here. He feels like a very different plastic to the sort of standard Black Series line. He's got no articulation here at the hips. And it's not painted here, it's just white. They've put some black paint in certain areas, and basically no details that are painted there on the back. But he's got a gun blaster. It is sculpted in his hand, so you can't sort of take that out. There's a yellow mark. Oh, that just wiped off. And sort of none of the small details here on the helmet that you would expect. So from the front, not too bad. A few sort of detail points there. Sort of just classic black paint there on the helmet. So of course, moment of truth. Let's put him side by side with a Black Series figure and see what the differences are. So of course we can see he's a little bit shorter when we put them sort of side by side there. So he's not a true 6-inch figure. That was one of my big things. You know, would these be like deeper background on your shelf? You know, we're going to sort of how to match to the scale. So they're kind of an odd sort of scale in themselves. They're not exactly the same. And we can see the color is very different here. It's definitely more of a cream. This is very a stark white, and we really start to see the differences in the helmet details here. If I bring them up closer, we can have a look at the helmet details here in person. So you can see the level of detail here. This one's got the blue stripes, the sort of the breather section at the front, and just the overall detail, especially if we turn them around, we can see how much paint there is on the classic Black Series and just the lack of detail here. He's looking a little white, like an interesting variant. Would be interesting if you want to do some sort of customs though. The lack of sort of detail means that, you know, you've got a blank slate there to do some customs. You know, you could do a chrome version, you can do red or full black, or just an artistic one if you want to, like the Pop Funkos where they do the sort of graffiti sort of coloring print on there. That would be sort of fun. Obviously he's not really going to do any other poses because the gun is fixed in one hand, and this one does not bend at the elbow there. It's just painted, yeah, and not even painted all the way around. That's kind of unusual. So yeah, so he's got articulation there at the waist, none in the legs, and at the arms, so he can put his arms up. But to be honest, that's about as much articulation as kids really need in their toys. You know, they're just going to stand them in the grass and play around with them, and, you know, sort of have them look and shoot and point. You know, not the same sort of scene or sort of realisticness that collectors are going to expect from their toys. But of course, we're looking at a $40 toy next to a $10 toy. There's obviously never really going to be the same level of detail and paint that we're going to get, obviously, from a more expensive toy. So that was kind of a fun, lucky dip. You know, it's not too often that we see Star Wars product on shelves that we really have no clue what it's going to be like inside. You know, we like to keep up on the times with, you know, the releases, the product announcements and things like that. But this one was a little bit of a mystery. We really weren't sure what he was going to look like once we opened him up from the box. So really interesting to finally see him in person. The other characters on the store shelves in New Zealand that I have seen include Din Djarin, Grogu, and Bo-Katan. So of course, you know, those are characters that you don't really army build, but kids will definitely sort of want to add to their Star Wars collection. So if you want some sort of Star Wars stocking stuffers, or, you know, if they need a whole lot of Stormtroopers to shoot around in the backyard, you know, for Din Djarin to fight against and things like that, that's a pretty good price point. You can buy them a whole bundle for the price of, you know, one of these guys. You know, these figures are pretty cool. You know, their popularity in recent years has soared, but they are not really at the mass sort of price point that children can afford or would want to. You don't really want children playing with, you know, 4 or 5 of these $40 figures, but they can certainly buy a whole bundle of a $10 figure to play around with. And it's a pretty good scale for kids. You know, it's no fiddly small bits. This doesn't come out of his hand, so they're not going to lose it or, you know, swallow it or anything like that. The packaging does say 4+, you know, so that's pretty young. Because there are no small parts, I would, you know, double check the helmet. Obviously, I don't know how well that would pull off, but yeah. That was a fun little unboxing. So yeah, definitely cool to see that in person. Won't be sort of mass buying this one to sort of flesh out our Black Series, but it was a fun little buy. He'll definitely go on a shelf somewhere just for fun around the house. So thank you so much for watching. We'll have some photos so you can see the differences between these two a little bit more clearly. We'll have those photos up on the blog, but thanks for watching this fun little unboxing, and may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.